Good afternoon to you and a very happy Friday. Greetings from a beautifully sunny Dubai where the weather is becoming a little bit more bearable and absolutely beautiful. September, how are we feeling about that? A happy Friday to you from wherever you are in the world. Do give me a wave. Thank you for joining. Hello, how has your week been? If you are watching from the UK, then you will have had a bank holiday this week. So how was that? How was the extra day? What did you do? I put it to very good use and did lots of work on my book, so very excited about that. Let me know what you've been working on. How are you doing? Where in the world are you watching from? Thank you for joining. Hello and happy Friday. How is your family? How's your business? And how is your team? Do let me know where you are watching from and how you are doing. Do give me a wave. So what have you been working on this week? Back to reality in a lot of ways. September always feels like that, doesn't it? You know, the kind of the end of the summer and coming into the autumn. So what have you been focused on? How have you been, and has it been a good one? Do let me know. Lots of new joiners to this community. We continue to grow. Welcome to each and every one of you. I'm really happy to see you here and really passionate about serving you and giving you lots of great value wherever you are in the journey, not just in these weekly lives from wherever I am in the world, but also in our Ask Me Anything slots, 3 p.m. UK time every Monday. So do feel free to post your questions, your challenges into this group. Do let us know where you're stuck or what questions you have. I really hope that you and your business are thriving. It's been an interesting year. That's one word we could use, right? So I do hope that you and your business are thriving. If you are not, then of course that's okay. Please do let me know what support you need. I want you to know that you are not alone on this crazy roller coaster ride of entrepreneurship. So welcome to you and happy Friday, wherever you are joining from the world. Very happy to have you here with me today. Thank you for watching. Do give me a wave or a thumbs up so that I know you're here. Do say hello. I can see that several of you have booked in a clarity call next week. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. If you would like to get past your blockers, take that next step in your business, then do book in a call with me and let's get you a good dose of clarity. I have a few slots each week that I make available for these calls, so do grab yours now. You can find the link in the pinned post at the top of this group. Okay, so quite enough chit chat. Let's get going, shall we? Welcome to my weekly live at 12 noon UK time every Friday, where we talk about how you can simplify, grow and enjoy your business. Whether you're just starting out or you're several years in, whether you want to build a nice lifestyle business or you're chasing world domination, I am here to support your journey. Last week we looked at how we measure success. We talked about lots of different ways that we could use to measure success and assess how successful we are. And also we talked quite a bit about the importance of building something that really works for you. It's not about meeting other people's measure of success. It's not about chasing somebody else's dream or somebody else's vision. It's all about building something that really works for you. So if you didn't get a chance to join me live last week, you can find a recording of that live in this group. All of the lives in this group are organised into guides. We have a simplify guide, a grow guide and an enjoy guide. And of course, I really want all three of those for you, but you will know which one is needed for you and your business in terms of where you are right now. So do check out the guides in this group. Simplify your business, grow your business and enjoy your business. So do let me know where you're stuck as well. What questions do you have? What challenges are you facing? What would you like me to speak about in future lives? Today's live was inspired by several coaching sessions that I've had over the course of this year. It's a topic that actually comes up quite often, especially for business owners that are new to management, growing their teams. and those people in their management teams that are maybe also new to management. And today we are, of course, talking about managing your friends. Many of us start out in business with a small team of trusted people, many of whom are already friends when we start out, or if they're not, then they quickly become our friends. We're all in this together, we're all pulling in the same direction, all in the same boat, and that's the wonderful thing about a new business, until we're not. What happens when you, as the business owner, need to step up and be the boss? How do you manage to assert your authority without, it being awkward or you hurting the people that you care about? How do you get that balance right between what's right for your business, but also which honours the relationships that you've built? As always, today's live is practical and simple. It's designed to give you some things to think about, but also some concrete actions that you can take today. So I'm going to talk about some of the benefits of friendship at work. I'm going to give you some common pitfalls for, that you can avoid, particularly if you're a new manager. And also we're going to discuss a bit how to be both a friend and a boss, because it absolutely is possible. Sound good? Let's get started then, shall we? So the modern workplace is very different than from what it used to be. Even in my working life, I can see the changes that have occurred. It's not uncommon today for the founder of a startup to be younger than some of their team members. Job promotions can often place one peer in charge of a group of others, and many new managers find that transition from work friend to boss really, really challenging, and one of their biggest hurdles. That idea of friendship, it applies as much to our personal lives, of course, as it does to our professional ones. Having friends in the workplace is actually really important. It makes us feel more engaged. It makes us happier to be around people that we consider to be friends, even if they're work friends. It's actually a very positive thing to have friends at work. Team performance is also significantly enhanced when people that work together form strong bonds. And as a boss, there are definitely benefits to being close to your employees. So it definitely increases trust. When you know an employee well, then that can translate to more trust, to more understanding in the workplace. It also can increase that sense of loyalty. So if you build really strong bonds with the people that work with you and for you, then it does increase their sense of loyalty both to you but also to the business. A mutual friendship also makes it much easier to ask for help, which is super important. It can make knowledge sharing much easier, and it can improve both your confidence and the confidence of the people that are working with. So it can be a really supportive environment when people consider themselves to be friends. It definitely can improve communication as well. When you are friends with somebody, your communication tends to be pretty strong, pretty good, pretty open. And so if you have that friendship, that can translate into better professional communication also. And ultimately just all-round happiness. When you're friends with somebody and you're forming bonds with your team, it enables you to speak freely, it enables you to share frustrations and successes, and generally it increases everybody's feelings of happiness. However, despite these benefits that I've just outlined, transitioning from being a friend to being a boss, we have to acknowledge that's still a change, right? That's still a change in the relationship, and that does need to be acknowledged by both parties. It is essential to build solid bonds with your team, but defining areas of respect, authority, and productivity can be quite challenging when you're trying to navigate that line between being a boss and being a friend. Status inequality, I know in small businesses, maybe status is not such a thing, but it is really. If you're the boss, if you're managing somebody, there is a status thing, and that can be really hard on friendships. If you're going to manage your friend, you need to be able to take tough decisions. You need to be able to make the ultimate tough call. Could you sit through a Wednesday night dinner at your friend's home knowing that he or she was going to be let go on Friday? Could you do that? Loyalty to work actually has to come before loyalty to your friend, and if it can't, then you should not be managing or leading that person. I mean, unequivocally, if you can't separate, and if you can't put work first when it's your business, then you need to make a decision about whether or not you can manage that person, and you really shouldn't be. But remember that you're both at work to accomplish a common goal. You're both at work to do work, right? To accomplish the goals of the company, to do your work. And the friendship can never be allowed to impede or get in the way of that work. And that is really important. We're going to talk later about being both the boss and the friend, and you can do that, but you can't let the friendship interfere with your mission, with what you are doing at work. And I want to be very clear about this. Some people want to try and fudge things, and that doesn't work in my experience. I'm all about being clear, setting clear expectations, setting clear boundaries, and that's what this is about more than anything else. So talking of which, boundaries and expectations, don't discuss work outside of work. Don't discuss personal issues, kind of friendship issues at work, unless it's impacting on performance. You do need to keep the two things separate. Don't make personal plans in work time. You need to make personal plans in personal time. And if and when your friend is not adhering to those work personal boundaries, you need to gently push that back a little bit. That's really great to know. Can you tell me more about it when we're not at work or when we are at work? So if they're not able to make that distinction, you need to be very clear about whether you've got a work hat on or the friend hat on, the personal hat on. So I'm going to share with you some common pitfalls to avoid, particularly if you're a new manager and you're in a situation where you're maybe having to manage friends. Inconsistency. This is one of the things that gets people most angry and frustrated and resentful, is inconsistency. It is really tough if you have to step in to reprimand a friend. Of course, that's going to be tough, but it is super important to maintain consistency and apply the same rules and the same standards to every single member of your team. If you don't, it will bite you, and hard. Linked to that, taking sides. So jumping to the defense of a friend is so easy to do. Of course it is. You know them really well, you understand them. It's really easy just to jump in and go, oh well, I can see it from their perspective, or jumping in to defend them. But as the boss, it's your responsibility to be impartial, not just to be impartial, but to be seen to be impartial. And you do need to look at the whole picture before making decisions. So this is about taking a bit of a step back and making sure you've got your boss hat on. I talked about resentment earlier on. Other colleagues might find it hard to respect your new position. Even your friends might find that hard. And it is human nature for us to test the boundaries. And your friends are likely to do that, to see where the line is, to see where you are drawing the line, and you must draw the line. It is really important to communicate, and it is really important to make sure that both you and your friend and anybody else in the team knows what those boundaries are and can really feel where that line is. Oversharing. As the boss, you should be able to speak freely and share frustrations with friends, of course, but you do need to be really careful about oversharing sensitive company information. Team members don't need to know every single problem that the company experiences. So again, it's about those boundaries. Blaming is something that comes up a lot as well. You know, having friends at work that you can trust is really great in terms of having support, but you really don't want to take their friendship for granted by, you know, taking out your frustrations on them in the hope that they can maybe take it better than the people that you're not as close with, right? So you do need to really make sure that you are consistent in the way that you're applying your standards. And I guess finally, something to watch out for is it can become really emotionally draining to sort of maintain the friend persona whilst you're also juggling stress and other work relationships and also, of course, the goals of your business. So there's some things just to think about if you're new to management, and just to watch out for some of those things that can crop up and definitely drain your energy. So I told you that I would share some thoughts about how you can be both a boss and a friend. Ready for that? So I've got 10 different ways that this is possible. Number 1, talk about the power shift. Talk about it. We spoke last week about the elephant in the room, right? So be open about the changing dynamic. Put it on the table. Acknowledge it. Don't let it become that elephant in the room. And also don't assume, we talked about this last week, don't assume that the uneasiness will kind of disappear if you ignore it, or that the changes in the roles will naturally balance themselves out, because they probably won't. So it's really important just to sit down together and go, wow, this is a bit awkward, isn't it? How are we going to do this? We're friends outside of work and now I'm your boss. Let's discuss. Number 2, be fair. You know, I talked about consistency. Of course, you don't have to downplay your friendships with your team members, but do be sensitive to the feelings of other team members that maybe you're not so close with. You do really need to stay consistent, there's that word again, in your treatment of everybody, so that nobody feels like favoritism is an issue. You really don't want that resentment to bubble up. People feel fairness at a really kind of deep level, and it is really important to make sure that everybody feels like you're being fair, regardless of your outside of work relationship. Number 3, get to know all of your team. Personal preferences, you know, somebody that you're really close with in a friendship sense shouldn't get in the way of building good relationships with all of your team members. Make an effort to get to know everyone. That's super important. So I'm not saying you have to be lifelong friends with everybody, but it is your job to get to know your people. That's the only way that you're going to get the best out of them. Number 4, avoid gossip. Gossip is quite a natural thing between colleagues, of course it is. We've all had a good old gossip at one point or another, but as the boss, it really is your job to avoid this completely, and also know when to step in or speak up. So really think about those kind of unhelpful, gossipy conversations, and just make sure that you're not participating and that you're stopping that as appropriate and fairly. Number 5, find someone else to talk to. It goes without saying that as the boss, you are obviously privy to more information than anyone else. So really avoid the temptation to share too much information with your work friends. Never share other employees' information with a friend. Never vent to a friend who is a member of your team about work. Instead, find somebody else to discuss relevant matters with. You can speak to a neutral party, you can speak to your coach, you can speak to your mentor, speak to someone that has got no ties to your organisation. Just keep yourself safe and respect the relationships in work and outside of work. Number 6, this is so important. Be okay with not being liked. That's what I always say to people in my people management training. You know that I run workshops on people management, and this is one of the themes that comes out. In order to be a good boss, in order to be a good manager, and to be able to give really helpful and constructive feedback, you need to care deeply about your people, but you need to let go of any need that you might feel to be liked. You are not always going to be popular, and that's just something that you have to accept. Resolve conflict, of course, where you can, but always remember that it is up to you to make the tough decisions, and that not everybody is going to be happy. Your job is to be clear. It doesn't have to please everybody. Not everybody is going to like it, ever. But that's not your job. Your job is not to please everybody. Your job is to be clear. So be okay with not being liked. Respected, yes, but you don't have to be liked. Number 7, don't always take yourself too seriously. Just because you're the boss, it doesn't mean you can't take some downtime with your team to unwind and relax. Working with people that you respect and who respect you back, that really can help, that can ensure that the socializing and friendships are easy to separate from working relationships. So, you get out of work and you can let your hair down. You stay off of the sensitive subjects. Don't talk about work. Talk about fun things. Let your hair down. Don't take yourself too seriously. Number 8, mind your language. It's easy to fall into friend mode with members of your team that you're close to, but remember at work it's also important to command respect, so you do need to find a balance. A really helpful tip that I would add here is specify your role when you're speaking, and by that I mean, and particularly when you're offering advice, so particularly like when you're giving feedback or when you're giving advice, specify your role. So by that I mean, speaking as your manager, this is what I would say. Speaking as your friend, yeah? So you can acknowledge the relationship, yeah? Remember the elephant in the room. Don't just pretend it doesn't exist, As your friend, I get this, but as your manager, I really need to ask you to tone it down. I really need you to understand the impact that it has on other people. As your friend, I totally get it. I really do understand it. But as your manager, I really need you to address this, yeah? So the other person can feel respected, can feel seen, can feel heard, but you have to draw those lines. So saying this is the hat that I'm wearing can also be really helpful for the other person. Don't say, please do it for me because we're friends. Don't do that. Don't do that at work. Number 9, hire the right people. Invest in a really good, solid recruitment strategy to find those potential hires that fit your company values, your company culture. Employ people who naturally understand and can navigate the line between boss and friend without pushing those boundaries too much. Look for people who can respect you while still feeling comfortable enough to speak openly with you. That's really what you're looking for. And number 10, look, I've talked about this all the way through. There is a line and it's important that you don't cross it. Be aware that not every person in your team will want the same dynamic or be comfortable with a more kind of familiar or friendly relationship. Some people like a much more defined boundary. So just be sensitive to where that line is, and it might be different with different people. And I get that that's challenging because you have to be fair as well, but respect other people's boundaries and where that line is. A good workplace is, of course, somewhere that provides a supportive environment with really constructive relationships where people can be open and honest with each other. If you have a strong sense of boundaries and you encourage that with your people, and you also foster that sense of mutual respect and understanding by listening to each other but being honest and direct, it is possible to be a great boss whilst maintaining friendly relationships with your employees. You don't have to employ people that you want to go down the pub with. That you don't have to do that. If you happen to employ a friend, or you happen to become the manager of a friend, then you need to navigate through that relationship. But you can be friendly without being really close friends. It's all a spectrum. So what do you think? What is resonating most with you? What questions do you have, or what experiences have you had of managing your friends? Do let me know in the comments. Also, what's your next step in life or in your business? What do you need to make you feel more confident, more sure? Do book in a clarity call with me, and let's get you moving past whatever is blocking your progress and on to that next challenge. There's always a next challenge, right? Before I close up for today, I want to give you some clear next steps, some concrete things that I suggest you do as a result of today's live. So, firstly, do you manage any of your friends, or are you thinking about whether or not to do so? Next, what boundaries need to be established? Where is that line? What would make it work in the future? Or if you're already in that situation, what conversations need to be had in order to make that really clear and that really work? And thirdly, you know what's coming. Take some action. We talked about the elephant in the room last week, and we talked about the importance of clarity. You're both you and your friend, your employee, your teammate, you're both playing a role in the business. I remember one of my very first jobs, and I was working in the bakery counter, and every morning before we opened, the manager of the store would walk around the supermarket to check things out before we opened the door. And I remember, I used to say hello to him every morning. I don't remember his name. Let's say his name was Dave. So I used to go, "Hi, Dave." And one morning, my supervisor caught me. She witnessed me going, "Oh, hi, Dave, how are you doing?" He was like, "Oh, hi, Lisa." And after he'd gone, she took me to one side and went, "How do you know his name? How does he know your name? What are you doing talking to the what are you doing talking to the store manager?" And I was a bit like, okay, he's just another human being. I'm just saying good morning, and he knows my name because I've asked him what his name is. He's asked me what my name is. He's just another human being. So you're both playing a role in the business. Yes, you're the boss and they are the employee or they are the team member, but you've both got a job to do. So hang on to that. Have a conversation and make a plan. Do let me know how you get on with this, and do get in touch if you need any support or you want to talk it through with me. I am going to close up today's live with 2 quotes about dealing with being the boss. So my first quote is from the stage-only musical character in the Newsy, Catherine Plummer. Being the boss doesn't mean you have to have all the answers, just the brains to recognise the right one when you hear it. And my second quote is from the American businessman and founder of Walmart, Sam Walton. There is only one boss, the customer, and he can fire everybody in the company from the chairman on down simply by spending his money somewhere else. So let's not get too hung up about being the boss, right? You and your co-workers are there to do a job, and that ultimately is to serve your customers and grow your business. Are you ready to face what is really happening in your business? Let's get you in the driving seat and building intentionally towards what you want. Decide what's really important to you and to your business and stick to it consistently. Building a business is tough. It can be a really long, hard road. So make sure that you're building something that is really intentional and meaningful to you, that will sustain you through the tough times. So something that is really important to you, something that will get you out of bed on a cold winter morning. Be intentional, say no to things that don't serve you and the goal that you want to achieve. And as I pass back over to you, as I do every week, that is really what I want you to take from today. What is the outcome that you're seeking? What's the result? What is the goal that you're driving at? Put your energy into getting really clear about that, because it is the most important thing. Allow yourself to do things your way. Yes, of course, learn from me and learn from other people, but you need to synthesize all of that learning. You need to bring it inside of you, and then what comes out must be congruent with you. It must work for you. If you want to build a huge multinational corporation, then go for it. Fantastic. Let me support you. But if you just want to do your thing, then that's okay, and I want to support you in that too. Focus on listening to yourself and ask yourself what you need so that you can spend more time in your flow. And don't forget that when I talk about flow, that's when things are moving easily, but the opposite of flow is actually friction. So when things aren't really working, instead of kind of keep banging your head against a brick wall, just take a bit of a step back and focus on getting some clarity. Get some objective input, give me a call, hire the services of a business coach, take some time to look at what you're doing, but also very crucially, where an easier path might start from and lead to. Ask yourself, what would a business that really works for me look like? Let me know your thoughts and questions on this or any other topic relating to how to simplify, grow and enjoy your business. What area or what topic would you like me to speak about next? Also, who do you know that could benefit from joining this community or having a conversation with me? If you haven't already claimed your free copy of my first book, The Real Entrepreneur, then you can go to therealentrepreneur.book.com. If you prefer an Audible or a Kindle version, then you can find those on Amazon. Do check out the accountability section of my book for more on managing your friends and being the boss. Get the foundations right and you can absolutely build from there. I really hope that you have a lovely September weekend, whatever you're doing and whoever you're doing it with. I wish you a really happy and peaceful time. And as always, if you want to talk, then you know where I am. Please remember to be where you are in the journey. You don't need to know it all, and you definitely don't have to do it all. Take care, stay safe, and keep in touch. Bye for now. Happy Friday.